Evan. Thanks so much for joining us this afternoon. We're hearing a lot about the transition from copper to fiber in telecommunications facilities. Can you start by talking a little bit about what's changing inside these facilities as that transition is happening?
For the first time in the history of a lot of these telecom buildings, the loads are decreasing and also increasing at the same time. There's simultaneous projects where the equipment that is on copper is being decommissioned, like a 5E switch. Um, and at the same time, there's new equipment that's replacing it that is adding load to a building. So you could potentially, on any given day, see plant loads increase and then 6 months later be decreased. And that just doesn't match the way that these buildings have operated, where the load has just always steadily increased over time.
One thing that stood out that you mentioned is that loads are actually increasing and decreasing at the same time. What kind of issues can that create for power and cooling systems?
In seeing that number go up sometimes and down sometimes, the opportunity for issues within cooling first starts in hotspots. That the introduction of new equipment is often accompanied by a project that provides cooling locally. However, the new equipment is usually at a higher density of power than what's existing. And so often it will create a little hotspot within the legacy telecom equipment space because the hot aisle of the equipment is so hot or is generating so much heat. And then on the power side, there's an opportunity for wet stacking at generators where a load disappears that had been there, as well as potentially pushing over your maybe what you're comfortable with in terms of the max demand thresholds on a generator's capacity or a DC plant.
And is there anything that you think telecom providers should be doing now to support or prepare for these changes?
The close coordination between the network capacity manager and the facilities engineering and construction team is the thing that helps make sure that these projects are in concert with one another and that you have designed the ability for that building to operate successfully both at the highest peak as well as the lowest trough of what this swing will bring.
Nothing replaces good communication, huh? Can you talk a little bit about how WB is helping our clients navigate this transition from copper to fiber?
So when we get engaged with a project, one of the very first things that I tell our team that is executing telecommunications work is make sure that you're asking for the 5-year forecast for this building and if there are scheduled decommissionings at this building. And that's key just because what you may see out at the building today may not be there tomorrow. And so it's something that we've fundamentally changed the way we do business. If we're going to design a new generator and pick, some random kilowatts of what we think the capacity should be, we absolutely need to do our due diligence to make sure that we know what's going into the building, what's going out of the building within the next couple of years. And so we're responsible as the design professionals to ask those questions, and we're also proactive in making sure that those conversations happen if they weren't otherwise already happening.
Thanks so much, Evan, for walking us through the real estate impact of this copper to fiber network transformation. Appreciate your time.